All right, good afternoon, everyone, and welcome. Thank you all for taking a moment or some time out of your day for this. This is the meeting regarding EMResource bulk upload demonstration and training. My name is Luke Orner. I am the Michigan Region 6 Healthcare Coalition Coordinator, and we wanted to get this out to you as soon as possible for tomorrow's EMResource upload, as everyone has been waiting for this. This is the bulk upload for you to hopefully make your life a little bit easier. Today we have Damon Obeden working for MDHHS. He is the guru of all EMResource that there is. So he is going to walk through this bulk upload process. Damon will be able to answer any and all questions that you guys have. So for questions, what we're going to do is have you just enter them into the chat using the little show conversation or chat feature, or go ahead and raise your hand and Damon will address them as he comes to that time. Without further ado, Damon, take it away.
Great, thanks, Luke. My name is Damon Obeden, and I work with the state, and I've been working with Javari for many, many years on different projects. And EMResource is actually kind of a cool, exciting platform for getting data into the system. I know as soon as I said that, many of you just rolled your eyes and went, oh my gosh, this is painful. So our job is to try to make it as minimally painful as is possible. So I know that some people, when Luke said, well, we tried to get this out to you for reporting for tomorrow, a couple people probably just went, oh my gosh, this is something new. I don't know that I want to do it for tomorrow. And the good news, you don't have to. So we're going to make this available to you. And if it's something you want to use, then you can certainly go ahead and do it. If you want to wait till next week, you can do it next week. If you look at it and go, oh my gosh, this is overwhelming, I don't know if I could do it, then that's okay. We could probably help and guide you through the process. It's really not that difficult. And once you go do the setup pieces, it really becomes very, very unbelievably easy. It's basically opening a document each day, saving it with a new date, making any data changes to it, and then going into EMResource and bulk uploading it. It's very simple, and we'll walk through all of those steps. All right, so one thing I would ask is please, if you're on the call, if you could double check and make sure that you're muted. All right, there we go. And so we're just going to go ahead and get started on what the bulk upload really is. And I'm going to show you right from EMResource real quick what the bulk upload is that we're looking at and how simple it is just from the word go. And then what we'll do is we'll walk through the details of how to make it work. So I'm logged in Region 1 as this facility, Adrian Dominican Sisters, and the reason why is because they don't have pass-through. So if I save their data, it's not going to mess anything up. It's all going to be good. And now when you log in, this is typically the view that you see. You see all of these events at the top, and you see facilities along the list down the side in the column, and then you see keys next to your facility's name. Now, once you go to update, those keys will still be there next to your name in the main page, but also when you go into your events, clinical, supplies, vaccination status, and therapeutics, you're going to see the keys next to your name in there as well. So nothing of the current way of putting data in is going to change. We're just trying to give you another avenue that will make it easier for you. So really what I mean by this is, here's basically the process. You would come in here each day, you would go to upload, go to bulk upload status. Now we're going to deal with this bulk upload template in a couple minutes, but by and large, I'm going to come in here, choose a file, grab the one that's labeled for today, and open it and load it. It's that simple. So that's really the process you would do each day to upload the file. So super straightforward. Now we're going to get into a little bit about how do I get to there from where we are today. How do I even get that bulk upload feature to work right? So a couple things. You can see there's a bulk upload template here, and if you click on this, it will download the bulk upload template. This is important. Now you can see that I have this file. It's going to be in my downloads folder, so we're going to go look at it in just a couple minutes. Now we're going to go to the directions on how to set everything up. So step one, on your desktop, create a folder that's called EMResource Uploads. Okay, so we've done that. Let me make this small and we'll move this one right out of the way. So on the desktop, I created a folder. It's called EMResource Uploads. That was easy enough. To create a folder, you just right click on the desktop, click on New, Folder, and then you just name it EMResource Uploads. And once that's done, you're good to go. And I'm going to delete this one just because I already have it there. So now the folder is there and there's really nothing in the folder. It would look something like this where it was just completely blank because there's nothing in it. Now this one, what we're going to do is we're going to fill it up in just a minute. So let's go back to the directions. Second thing, there is posted in the chat a link to a Google Drive. It's also in these documents, and Luke will provide these out to you. He's making available on the website a place that you can download those. But if you were to go to the Google Drive and grab that from the chat, you can just go there. And once you're in, you'll be able to see all the documents that you want to download. If anyone has any trouble with that, you can certainly put it in the chat. We can help with that each week. And so every time as I'm talking through this, I work both with the hospital reporting and I work with long-term care reporting quite a bit. And so if you hear me saying daily, 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 what I really mean is weekly. So keep that in mind. It is for your weekly reporting. So just excuse me if I do say daily, it just kind of pops into my brain because I'm dealing with hospitals reporting daily on all the data elements. All right, so that's step one, create the folder. Second thing, go to the Google Drive. And now we're gonna go to that Google Drive and we're gonna look at what's inside of it. It's pretty straightforward. When you get in, there are a couple things. We have this template here on identifying errors in data. So this is, we've gone over this a couple times in long-term care office hours. I know it's been shared out at the regional level, but I want to share this with you. Part of the reason that we're doing the bulk upload is that each week, as we look at the reporting, we are seeing the number of errors in data increasing. And the reason it's increasing is because when you're reporting all zeros, there's no problems. But as soon as you start reporting, one value here or one value there, then you have to do some math to make everything work. And so I'm not showing you this so that you can go through in detail and see what these errors are. There's a couple things I do want to point out for you though. The errors that are where the title is in black are pretty uncommon. We don't see these hardly at all. And then there are errors that are in red. We see these all the time. And you can see that the errors are numbered. And so if someone were to call you up and say, hey, I've got an error, which is a number 13 error, that error is actually going to be in the template. When we do the validation, it's going to come across with a tan color. And all these things, they will fit together down the road. But basically, this guide is in that folder. And so what I would do is personally download this. There's a PDF version and there's a PowerPoint version. So if you don't have PowerPoint, you can download the PDF version. And then you can walk through and see how the data elements as they appear in EMResource relate one to another when we're talking about math errors. It's a whole lot easier to read the pictures and understand what they mean than it is to read this and understand how the data elements relate together, because this is a little too technical. All right, so that's really step one, is there's the error guides, and you can see those here. This is the document that we're going over today, this bulk upload, very pictorial based, very much to the point, kind of condensed. But there are some people that are very detail oriented that really want to be able to see exactly what steps we are taking, why we're taking them, and then put them all together. And of course, we have that here. So there's a detailed guide. These two go hand in hand together. They support one another. If you just need a little bit more detail, or if you get stuck on something, what I would recommend is move this into your folder on your desktop. Just download it and put it in that folder, and then you can refer to it at any point. So it'll help you with some greater understanding of what you're trying to do. Lastly, as far as reference documents, we do have this color guide, which basically looks just like this sheet. And what you can see is the errors, not only do they get a number, but they also get a color associated with them. And again, I know that doesn't make sense yet, but it will shortly. So when the error happens, you will see these colors appear on the template, and everything will make sense in just a few minutes. And they all kind of go together. So now let's go back to the main simplified document. So we've created the desktop folder. We've gone to the Google Drive. We've saved the documents that are there. Just save all of the ones that are there because it'll make sense in just a couple minutes. So all of those documents get saved into your folder. Now, when you get into EMResource, we just showed you this, you log into EMResource and you upload, go to upload and then bulk upload template, and you're going to download it and open it. So let's go take a look at that. So when you go to EMResource, here we are, and we got to upload to get to this page. So let's just go back to home and we'll go back to the regional views so you can see it the way that you do when you log in. You go to upload, just click on bulk upload status, and then right up here at the top, it says bulk upload template. You're gonna grab that, and here's the one, we just downloaded it before, but we'll do it the steps that you would take. If you can't find this file, like here, you can see this one is number 5, this one is number 6. If you don't see this little pop up or drop down at the top, you can just go into your downloads folder and then it'll show up right in there. So here you can see both of them. And that's just, you click on the file setting at the bottom and click on downloads. All right, so let's do that again. We're gonna go here, we're going to go to downloads, and we'll open up this number 6 download. Okay, it'll take a second to open. Make that small. Enable editing on this one. Okay. And give me 2 seconds. There we go. Okay. So now this download template that you're grabbing from EMResource, it's really only meant for one purpose, and that is to grab these first 3 columns. That's it. You're not going to do anything else with this download from EMResource. So we're just going to go and copy this data. For those that are not really good with shortcuts on computers, if you push Control and C at the same time, it will copy all the files you highlighted. Okay. So now what we're going to do is in that folder that you downloaded, there's another file that was called, it is 11/16/2021, but it should say or start out with the date EMResource bulk upload template. Okay, so what we're going to do is not with the one, it just says the word date at the front. You're going to want to open that one. And then right here where it says replace, 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 click on the first cell. And you can actually click on all 3 of them. That way it pastes in the right way, and just push Control V, or you can right click and push paste. All right, so now what we're sure we have is we have the facility name exactly as it comes out of EMResource. We have the resource type exactly, not too many spaces, not a long hyphen versus a short one. Everything is right, including the number that's grabbed from that template. So we just pasted it in there. Now we're good to go with that. So what we're going to do is go back to that bulk upload template that we downloaded. I'm not going to do anything else with this. I'm just going to close it, make it go away. I don't want to save it. As a matter of fact, I never want to look at it again if I don't have to. So now I've got a good template. Of course, it's still titled Date EMResource Bulk Upload Template. So my next step is to go through, if I don't have ventilators, I'm going to go through and put a 0. And the easiest thing to do, honestly, is go through and just answer the questions going all the way across with very basic answers. If you know how many beds you have at your facility, go ahead and fill that stuff in. But pretty much zeros are a good thing to start out with on your first run through. So setting everything to 0, you're sure you don't have any math errors, because we're going to save this template and then we're going to make a backup of it. That way, if ever I have to come back into it, I've got a clean version that's set up the right way and it's all ready for me to go. All right. So if you're not a CRC facility, then you won't be able to, like these facilities or these yellow highlights up here, you don't have to fill them in at all. You can just leave them as 0 values and it will turn out just fine. So just make sure for the CRC stuff, just leave them as 0s. Now, it is possible that you might be able to hide some of these columns, but I do have them locked out. So even if you try to hide them, it's probably not going to work. Okay. So it's no harm, no foul if they stay there. If you're not a CRC, just put 0s. And the reason we have them there is because some facilities at some point, if COVID ramps up, maybe you will become a CRC facility. And so it's easier to deal with everyone as a group and keep the availability there. So that's why they're there. You can just scoot over and put 0s in there. It's going to be fine. All right, some of the other questions, they're just simply yes, no's. Most of them have drop downs. here's where you get admissions and all beds. So if you know that you've had 25 beds at your facility, there are 25 staffed beds, so you have available staff that you can have 25 at the facility, then just go ahead and fill that in now, because what you're doing is creating your template so that it'll save. You're going to make a backup of that template, so if ever you mess with the file, you can come back and grab it. But that's pretty much it. We're going to go through and put just neutral values. But beds is pretty predictable. If you have testing ability or capability at your facility, go ahead and put yes. And then, of course, there are some fields where you don't need to put an answer. So if you put no here, then conditionally, one of these fields becomes required. So at least one. But most of you have testing ability at this point. So just put yes, and then any field that can be left blank, you can leave it blank, unless that applies. So if you really do have a lack of access to lab for specimen submission, then you could go ahead and check that. And the drop down for this is just an X. So that would be answered if you put you don't have testing capability. So you put no, and then you have to check one of those other boxes. But every single box, if you click on it, it'll say this can be left blank. So those can be left blank without any trouble. Likewise, when you get to staff testing ability, the other ones right after staff testing are the same, where they can be left blank. Now, this is where the template gets a little bit fun. So we're going to come over here and we're going to look for the first fields coming across that look like they're in a color. So we're going to see those all start to pick up here. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to change one of these values to 0. Okay, so this is resident positive reinfected. And now you see that the value has changed to 0. And when I changed it to 0, now there's a math problem. But the problem is with one of the green fields, and it's this bright green color. And so this is where you can use some of the guidance documents to help you figure out exactly what's going on and why there are problems. And so if I pull this over, you're going to see that the green field, this column here, this is resident reinfected, and it's a rule 18. Okay. So that's pretty simple. I don't want to, mire you in the different things, but this is the way that I would go about doing them. Is I would actually look at that downloaded PDF document that we were looking at before. That really shows what the rules are, and then it would show what fields really apply together. So here's resident reinfected and resident with no symptoms. So the reinfected, no symptoms, and the resident with symptoms. Well, if I have 0 residents that were reinfected, but I'm listing one person as reinfected with symptoms, now you can see why the math doesn't add up. This should be the total of the people with symptoms and without symptoms. So what I'm saying is there's no residents that are reinfected, but one of them out of the 0 actually has symptoms. So if I change this to a 0, then of course it's going to go away. So all the color disappears. And that's one of the validation pieces. So if you were to use this template when you put your data in, each day, then or each week, then you would actually see these errors and you could correct them even before you submit the data, and you could feel very confident that when you do your data submission, there won't be any errors. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to change this value to 1. And of course, now you're going to see that error. And I have some other ones in here. We're just going to go through and just clear these out real quick. So I'm going to change this one back to 0. And then I want to go to CB as well. So let's go back here. Sorry about that. And we'll change this one to 0. Okay. All right. Now you can see that there's a whole bunch of errors that are occurring in the data, and they all seem to string together. And you're like, oh, this is terrible, because now a bunch of things change color. And the ultimate goal, whenever you do this, is to get in column 2 or row 2 to get all of the colors in row 2 to disappear. So how do we fix this? So I have one resident that was reinfected, and you can see that the first error I have to deal with is this gold color, which is a number 17 error. Doesn't matter what the number is, but it's gold. So to make it easy, what we're going to do is we're going to scroll across the bottom looking for things that are gold. Okay, so this one looks gold. So we go there and we'll put a 1 here. So I had one that was reinfected, and I have a resident confirmed. So I can't have somebody who's reinfected but not put them in the confirmed file. So there's one. And you can see it cleared out a bunch of the errors. That's actually really good. All right, so we come back here. I still have a green error. So now it's residents with that are reinfected, either with symptoms or without symptoms. So let's just say this one had symptoms. So we'll say 1 there. So now it clears that error. Okay, great. Let's keep going. Oh, now I see a blue error. So I have a resident that tested positive with an antigen test. And let's look for the other blue ones. This is where we run into most of the errors. So it was an antigen test. So you can see this is positive antigen, Johnson & Johnson, Moderna, Moderna second dose, Pfizer first dose, Pfizer second dose, and so on. So really all I have to do is put in what was the vaccination status of the person. And let's say that this was a resident that had their second dose of Moderna. There was only one of them, so now I put 1, and now the colors go away. So now I double check to see if I have any colors in that row 2. They're all cleared up. So that's how the validation piece works. But now we're going to step back a little bit. So when you first filled out your template, you copied in these 3 columns, or these 3 data elements in those 3 columns. That came from the bulk upload template. And you went through and you put basically zeros and neutral answers. And then you go to File, Save As, and just put it in that folder. So you can go to Browse. And we're going to go back to the EMResource desktop folder. So you can see that EMResource uploads. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually change this to today's date. So we'll just go, oh, we'll change it to tomorrow. So we'll make it 11/17. And we'll save that. All right. Now, when you, okay, so we'll go back and open up that folder so we can take a look at it real quick. So let me go to the desktop. Give me 1 second. All right, so we're in our folder, and now you can see that file that we just saved. Now, what I would do with this one is open it back up, and then once we get it open, it's opening on the other screen, so give me 1 second. So I've got all of my neutral answers in there. I would do File, again, Save As, and now I'm going to just change this back to Date. And at the end, I'm going to put Backup. Okay, and then I'm going to save it. And it already exists, so I'll just replace it, which is. Now, the reason I do that is because if ever I come in and I mess things up, I can always go to that backup file, and it's got all of the facility information at the front, and it's got fairly neutral, benign, typically 0 answers. Yes, I do testing. No, I'm not in any critical staffing shortage. I have plenty of supplies kind of answers. So everything is in there, and it's really good. Another thing that's helpful to you to figure out the columns, whenever you go into these events, like say you go to the clinical report, right up at the top, there's an attached file. If you download this, this is going to have all of the definitions for what those data elements are. It tells you where the event is, how to update, but down toward the end, it will tell you all of the data elements and definitions and a lot of great information on what exactly each of these fields mean. So you'll get the title, and you'll get a definition. So if you're stuck in the template and you have this document, you can use this as a cross-reference until you get used to using the template a little bit. But this is a great document to just kind of help you through, and it's available right in EMResource just under attached files under the events. All right, so let me move this out of the way again. Okay, so now we have our template and we saved it as a backup, and let's go back to the folder so we can see what we've done. We downloaded the template, we grabbed the three data elements, we pasted them into our master template with the date in the front, and then we saved it again as date with backup. So you can see that there's the backup file right there. Here's the original file that you're going to get in email. And of course, this is the one that you could modify and then save with a date, and then you create the backup. So real straightforward. Again, it's open the template that we send you, or that's going to be available in the chat or that Luke provides to you. Then you take it, you save it with a, you can save it with your information that you get from EMResource, save it again, then save as and put backup after it. So you get these 2 files. Once that's done, then you can put the date on it. So like tomorrow's date, and you have all that information right available to you. So now how do you work with this? Let's go back to our guide. So we're going to walk through the steps of things that we've already done, and then we'll talk about working with the files to make sure that they're going to do what we want them to do. We've created the folder. We went to the Google Drive. We downloaded all the documents. We went into the upload, bulk upload. We downloaded it. We grabbed those first 3 columns of information. We opened up our primary template. Okay, and if you follow the directions here, it will lead you right through the whole thing. And then we pasted them in, saved the file, and then did save as and labeled it backup. Okay. After that, you can reopen the original file and then choose and replace the date. So where it says date up front, you're going to replace that using the current date of month, day, and then a 4-digit year. So that will give you a file that looks very similar to this, just like we did with that 11/17 for tomorrow. So we've got it saved with the date. And now what we're going to do is we're going to go into that file that we just opened. So let's make this small. So this is the typical process. Most of this is all set up. The typical process each day as you go into your folder, you grab the folder or the file for the day before, and you click on it, and you open it. So it opens up, and you right away go File, Save As, and then you change the date. So today is the 16th, so I'm going to change this to the 17th, and now you know I've already got it there, so I'm going to have to do yep, I've got one, I'll just replace it. Okay, so now I've taken that file and saved it. And what I'm going to do now is go through each day and just fix the data elements that are bad. Now you see I kind of screwed it up when I did this, but we're going to go grab this one. Oops. We'll grab the one that I just fixed. Oh, there we go. Edit. And again, Control C. We'll go back into this one, paste into it, Control V. Just because I screwed it up, I saved an old file that didn't have the data. All right, so that's there. I can just save it again. And now I'm going to go through and put in accurate values for everything. So they're not just placeholders anymore, they're accurate values. I'm going to go through and make sure that each day when I go through, I'm clearing all of the different errors that occur, all the different colors that occur. And if I have any issues with the colors, I'm going to go back to the color guide that shows me, which is in that download from the Google Drive. So say I end up with an error that's purple. So here's the purple field. I can actually look at this and see what values go into purple. Now, if you get stuck and you look at this and you go, oh my gosh, this is just overwhelming for me, I can't do this. Well, there's another way to do this. This is easy. You figured out the error is a purple error, which is a number 23 error. So you go right back into that Google Drive. And in the Google Drive, we were looking at this, which is the long-term care sheet. So we're going to just scroll right down to a 23 error, which was the purple error, and it will tell us exactly what that error is. So here's a 23 error, and you can see that these relate to the resident positives with antigen, positives with a PCR, positive with other. And these are the fields that will go through this. 22 is at the top, that's the antigen ones. 23 is the PCR ones, and a 24 error is the other test values. And so you can use the two references to really help you identify where the errors are. So once you clear all of the colors from the bulk upload template, it's ready to go. So at the end, just push save again. And then what we're going to do is we're going to go back into EMResource. So my file is all ready to go, and it's saved back into the folder. I go into EMResource, I'm logged in as myself, so you can see this is Adrian Dominican. I go to upload, bulk upload status. I don't need to go to the template because I've already worked with that file and shouldn't have to go back here again. I just go to choose file, and then I grab the file that is there for the today. So on this one, I will grab the 17th file, open it, okay, and it's going to tell me that the file is open. So if I still have it open, I have to come up here, just make sure you push save, then close. Okay, so now it's saved. We'll go, okay, we'll just do it one more time. And now it's going to load here, and then I have to push submit values. Okay, it's going to load. Uh-oh, now you can see that there's a bunch of errors. Okay, the reason that there are a bunch of errors is because I loaded a template that had no values in it. Oops, So let's get rid of this one. So now I'm going to go back. We're going to go to this one. We're going to grab the 16th file. Let's go to the 15th file because I know that was full. And submit values. Now, if this doesn't work, I'm going to be a little embarrassed because it worked yesterday. And you will see these errors if the file is not filled out correctly. But it does work, and I just didn't have the templates. I was messing around with changing numbers, and when I did that, I messed with some of the values and put in a bulk or a template that is not working. But otherwise, they will work. So give me 1 second and see if we can get this to work. I just have to look at the files to see what's there. Okay. So let's open this one. Dominican. Replace. That's why that one's not working. Okay. Date, bulk, upload template backup. That one will work. Okay. And we'll just use the backup file. So let's go back. We'll delete this one. Now we're going to choose the file again. We're going to go to the backup template, which is going to load all zeros, which is okay. Submit values. And it failed. So I'm doing something wrong. So I'll have to look at it and see because I didn't set the template up the right way. So basically what it does typically is it goes through, oh, I know why, because I'm logged in as Avery and Dominican Sisters and they don't have update rights for this. So hang on a second. So now I'm back in as me. So what I'm going to do is go to the upload, bulk upload status, choose file. Well, that was silly. Okay. So we'll just grab this bulk upload, go open, submit values. So the reason why that it didn't work is because I don't turn on update rights for facilities until late Tuesday evening, early Wednesday morning. And when I was logged in as them, they don't have update rights to turn things on yet. And so you can see that when I go back in as myself, and I do have update rights to work with these events, as soon as that happens, it actually works and works well. So about probably 11:30 tonight, update rights get turned back on. And then anytime really after midnight, you guys can submit your values. So I apologize for that. I know it was a little confusing and probably looked like it was failing. It was just because I was not being intelligent there. All right. That said, I'm not seeing any questions coming up yet in the chat. So we're going to just kind of walk through this again really, really quick so you can see exactly what we've done and what the bulk upload is, because I know that sounded a little bit confusing. So here we go. Create the desktop folder. Go to the Google Drive, download the documents, save them in the folder. Okay, once you're in there, you download the file and open the file called date EMResource bulk upload template XLS. Save that one into the folder, make sure it's in there and it's open. Log into EMResource. Open or go to the upload, then the bulk upload template. You're going to download it and open it. And the only thing you're going to do with that file is grab the first 3 columns in row 2. Okay. You save those, you go back to this original file, which is the date EMResource bulk upload template. You paste those values right into the first 3 columns of row 2. You close this document. Now you're done with it. You're back in that template and you go save. Okay, so that saves with your facility stuff in there. Then you are in the document and now you start working with the template, filling in neutral values for every data field all the way across the template. When you're done, push save. Then go to save as, and then resave this as afterwards with a hyphen and backup. So you've got a clean backup of the data, and the one that you're going to use is the primary template. So now you can close out of the backup file, go back into the original, just open it up, and then save it with a date. So you replace date up front with the current date. You go into that data, and then these are these errors or these steps here where we've created the backup, and then we've created the one with the date, and then you put in your accurate data, make sure all the colors disappear. If you get stuck on a color, you use the color guide reference. You can also use the PDF document that shows you where the errors are so you can match up the colors and the numbers, and then it'll give you guidance so visually you can figure out where you're trying to fix problems or what data fields. If you really get stuck, you can go into EMResource and download that attached file that's in each event, and that will help you a little bit understand what the data or the data elements or individual columns are labeled. So those reference documents all work together. And once you get used to this, it's very, very simple. Then each day or each week, you go into upload, bulk status upload, then save as. Okay, hang on a second, upload. Oh, heck, it's easier just to do this in EMResource, and I apologize for being a little discombobulated here. You go to upload, bulk status upload, choose file, grab the file that you want that's got the current date on it, open the file, and then submit the values. If there are any errors, they will tell you what the errors are, and you can actually go to those errors and actually fix them right in the process. So here you can see that we've just uploaded again. This will show success when it's all done. Okay, so it is complete. And now the backup to this, once I'm done, the next step I want to do in EMResource is just go back to the home button, and then you're going to find your facility in the primary page. So you want to go to long-term care region view if you're not already defaulting to it. So you can go up here to view long-term care region view. And we're going to go down to Adrian Dominican Sisters, click on the facility name, and now you can see that everything got a fresh, clean timestamp over here on the side. So you want to double check and make sure that your timestamp is the same, and it should be the same for all the data elements and also for the CRC elements, all the way down with all the clinical elements as well. If you run into any issues or problems, then you can still, like say the bulk upload, you try and you just can't get it to work. The workaround is to come right back into EMResource, just like you would on a regular day, and you can go through and just click on this, find your keys, click on the keys, choose select all, and then interact with the data elements that way. What we find is the bulk upload, once you get used to doing the bulk upload, you can actually do it because you're grabbing the previous day's data and you're saving it and then only making changes to things that changed. So your time on task goes down tremendously, and the bulk upload happens literally in seconds. And so you're taking what ostensibly, because you come into EMResource, you'd have to open all 4 of these events, interact with every one of those, go down, push save, and still not be able to identify any of your errors. If you use the bulk upload template, we're seeing that it can cut down at least in half the time that you're spending on trying to get this data submitted each day. And by the time you submit it, it will actually flag the errors for you in advance. Now, as you saw, we did not flag every single error. So it is still possible that you could have something with an error in it. We flagged all the things that we see. The 99.9% of the errors have color flags to them. So if you were to go in and say you were with Hazel Findley, and all of a sudden you took this field and instead of a 0, you just deleted it out. So it was deleted and you saved that, that's going to save as a blank. And when you put a blank anywhere in the system, it's going to flag as an error. So you would still hear about that later. So you can't leave any fields blank anywhere. You just have to make sure they have values in them, unless in the template it says you can leave this field blank. Okay. All right, that was a lot of things to throw at people, but the gist of it is this very simple bulk uploads setup guide will guide you through the steps pretty easily, how to set up the folder, grab the files, work with the files, save the files, and then really each day, because you've got that folder on your desktop, you go into the folder, you grab or open the file from the previous day. The very first thing you do is choose Save As. You change the date to the current day. So if it was last week, then you change it to the current day for your reporting and you save it. So you should have one file in there for each week. Now, the nice thing is if you want to go back and look at how you were doing previously, you can go back and see what your values were on previous weeks as well. So let's say, for example, something happened and you needed to go into NHSN and correct the data. You would now have a nice, simple record of what was submitted on that day. All right. So once you modify the date and you go through, you modify your own data, you fix all of the errors that come up that flag by colors. And then when you're done, you again go back to EMResource, you choose upload, bulk upload, choose file, pick the file that you just saved, make sure it's closed because otherwise you'll get that error. And then once it's closed, then you go back in and you can choose the file again, and then you push submit, you wait for it to get through, and it should be good. If all things fail, Next step is just come right back into EMResource and follow the process you do every day. And then if you get failures, I would ask that you reach out to the regional coordinators and let them know how the things failed. And then let us walk through and see if you're really running into failures, how those failures are occurring, because it could be a problem with how the template is set up. And we never know if Javari makes some changes on the back end, maybe some of this wouldn't work again. But we wouldn't know that without you letting us know. So if you run into failures, please let us know right away so we can investigate those. All right, that said, are there any questions about the process? I know that was a lot to throw at people all at once, but once you get the setup done, it's really, really simple. All right, I'm not seeing any questions and no hands. Okay.
All right.
So before I sign off, KDP, I see that you're on the call. Is there anything else that you want to cover or anything that you think I didn't cover completely?
Just a quick reminder that when he was saying daily, he did mean weekly. He does a lot with hospitals. They are still daily. You guys are still weekly reporting. So yeah, beyond that, I think you covered it quite well.
Okay. Awesome. Thanks, Katie. Luke, anything else that you would like us to cover or anything else you want to see?
Not at this time. I just appreciate everyone's time for coming out on this short notice meeting. This meeting has been recorded and will be available to all partners on our website under the long-term care resources page that you can find right on the miregion6.org website. And for those of you outside of Region 6, I'm sure it'll be available on your local regional webpage. I do have a hand up from Jennifer. Jennifer, go ahead. Jennifer Kroll, go ahead. Your hand's up.
Hi. For hospital, because I do both with the facility that I'm in, do we still do the daily just through the portal that we're already doing with those 3 tabs? Or do we bulk upload those 2? I know this isn't for this specifically, but I want to make sure I'm doing it correctly.
Okay. On the hospital side, you can do bulk upload as well. There are 6 tabs, so you're going to go blue to blue on the hospital side. The ones that are daily, we'll start with daily. So that's admissions, capacity, and clinical. And then, of course, you've got weekly ones that are supplies, therapeutics, vaccination.
Yep.
So, yeah, if you're doing those and you're doing them every day, you can do the bulk upload. So basically, you would sign in as the hospital. You do the same exact thing. You go to upload, go to bulk upload status, and then because you're logged in as a hospital, you will see a slightly different template. So if I do this, and here I'll just open one real quick as myself, and you'll see that it's going to come up a little different. So if you have multiple accesses into different systems, so you can upload for under your same user for both a long-term care and for a hospital, you'll see these are the hospital fields. And any field that doesn't apply to a long-term care will be grayed out and vice versa. So if it applies to a long-term care but not to a hospital or not to the hospital, then the hospital side would be blacked out or grayed out. What I would recommend is just, if you want, reach out to me afterwards and then I can walk you through how to do the bulk upload for that. So we're not
okay, thank you.
Spending time on that.
Are there any other questions?
One last quick reminder, we will be going over this again at office hours on Thursday, and there will be a recording made of this walkthrough session as well, and that will be on the long-term care page on the state website. So this is definitely going to be available, definitely different options, and for those who are outside of the region, that might be the easier way to get that copy. So I just wanted to let you know that that is coming up as well.
All right, and I apologize again for being a little discombobulated as I was going through that. It's just, it was a lot of steps to try to figure out what I was going to do next, and so I certainly do apologize for that. All right, that's it. Thank you everybody for joining. I do appreciate your coming over and watching today. And again, if there are any questions, feel free to reach out either to myself or to Luke.
Thank you all for your time and have a great day.